Dear participants, very good morning to one and all. Department of ECE welcome you all to the fourth day sessions of AICT Atal sponsored 5-day online faculty development program on advancing sensor technology. Today we are having our resource person, Dr. Srihari sir from NIT Surathkal. Let me take the privilege to introduce our speaker. Dr. P. Srihari graduated BTech in AC from Sri Venkateshwara University. He obtained master's degree from University of Plymouth, England, UK, and PhD from Andhra University in the year 2000, 2002, and 2012, respectively. He is a senior member of IEEE, ACM, and fellow of IETE. His research interests are radar systems, radar signal processing, radar target tracking, and navigation systems. He has guided 2 PhDs in this area, and he worked on radar waveform design. He engaged with multiple government organizations, specifically defense organizations like RCI, Research Center Emarat, Hyderabad, LRDE, Bangalore, and Central Research Laboratory, Bharat Electronics Limited, Bangalore, and Asymmetric Technologies Laboratories, Kolkata, in the area of radar signal processing and radar target tracking. Further, he presented papers at IEEE radar conferences in 2017 at Seattle, USA, and got enough exposure at international level about the recent trends in radar systems. He published a few good quality journal papers in IEEE transactions on aerospace and electronic systems and expert systems with applications and couple more on this pipeline. Further, in last 7 years, teaching principles of modern radar systems, radar signal processing, and algorithms for parameter and state estimation and detection and estimation theory to undergraduate, postgraduate, and research students at NIT Karnataka, Surathkal. He has total 17 years of teaching and research experience. He is also a founder of Sri Shasha Prayati Technologies Private Limited, incubated by National Institute of Technology, Karnataka Science and Technology Entrepreneurship Park, NITK STEP, Surathkal. Thank you, sir. Welcome you, sir. With this, I'm handing over the session to Professor P. Srihari, sir.
Yeah.
Over to Srihari, sir.
Yeah. Thank you, Krishnaveni madam, for the nice introduction. So actually, it's a formality. That's why I have given that. Anyway, so we already lost 10 minutes in the process. So let us let me share the screen and then let us directly go to the session now. So before I go into the session, so since the title is Advances in Sensor Technology, so actually the radar is also a sensor. So many of you know that radio detection and ranging is only for defense applications because that was the thing that was originally designed it for. So therefore, we all think that it is only for the defense applications. So let us go to that particular session now. This presentation which I am trying to show it to you. Give me a second. Yeah. So can you all see the screen? Hello. Can you see the screen?
Yes, sir, it is visible.
Yeah, thank you. So today we'll try to look into CW and FMCW based sensors. CW is a continuous wave and FMCW is a frequency modulated continuous wave based sensors. Based radars. Radars are primarily deployed as sensors. We shall see what kind of sensing that they are trying to do in civilian applications. So before we do that, let us try to get into some historical aspects of this, just about 10-15 minutes, just to inform you about how it all started. So let me go to the full screen mode. So I'll try to do some historical aspects also, and then show you some couple of videos also. Here, history of radar, the chain home radar, the spherical coordinate system, functions of modern radar, purpose of signal processing in radar. Basically, even though contents are more or like other aspects are being here, but I will focus more on the CW and FMCW based sensors. FMCW also specifically linear frequency modulated continuous wave radar. We will focus on that one and see their potential applications. So if you see historically, you know, all of you, because being background of 1886 or 1894, some say, the Heinrich Rudolph Hertz demonstrated reflection of radio waves. So in 1900, Tesla explained the principle of electromagnetic detection and velocity measurement. 1904, German engineer Huslimer experimented with ship detection by radio waves. 1922, Tyler Young of US Naval Research Laboratory demonstrated ship detection by radar. So that was the original origins of this one. 1930, Haaland of same NRL detected an aircraft accidentally, but that led to more substantial investigation that resulted in a US patent of continuous wave radar. See, 1930 was there 70 years and then last decade. So after 80 years, the CW radar is coming into the market potentially. After 80 to 90 years, the CW radar is coming into the market potentially as a radar sensor, and then for various applications. We will see the Internet of Things applications, the home appliances, the many other things are there. We will see that, but development of radar taken faster pace and spread across all the countries in the middle and late 1930s. And specifically during 1934 to 36, R.M. Page of NRL developed pulse radar and successfully demonstrated in 1936. This is another version of it. That is what we normally do in a defense scenario. 1936-1938, the SCR-268 anti-aircraft fire control system was developed by US Army Signal Corps, and then 1939, SCR-270, an early warning system, the detection of which were tragically ignored at Pearl Harbor. That means there was a story in that so I think 50 years of radar, one article came in 60 years of radar, I think. In 2006, one article came in IEEE Aerospace Electronics Systems magazine, which talks about...
sir, sorry to disturb you, sir. Sir,
yeah.
Your camera is not proper.
Which one?
Half part of your face is only visible, sir, in camera.
Okay, 1 minute, yeah. Let me...
Little bit adjust.
Is that fine now? Hello?
Okay, sir, okay.
Krishnavan, is that fine?
Okay, sir, now okay.
Okay. Okay. So, yeah. Then the actual story started here, that they ignored the early warning given by a radar. That means they thought that from mainland to island there is some transport aircraft which is coming in, so it is not any potential enemy threat. Therefore, the Pearl Harbor disaster, subsequently Hiroshima, Nagasaki has happened. Anyway, it's a tragic incident. 1935, the other side of the Atlantic, British scientist Watson Watt demonstrated pulse radar. 1938, the British established a chain home radar network that remained active until the end of World War II. So some say this is a game changer. The deployment of chain home radar by the British Royal Air Force was changed the German forces to indefinitely postpone their air attacks on Britain, because they were devastating the because British naval force is supreme, so they could not come through the seaways. They are coming through airways, and then German Air Force has much stronger and they have much more aircrafts. But indefinitely they postponed that air attack because the early warning given by this chain home radar, and then we shall see what that. This is a chain home radar. It's actually a multi-static system, a radar, a transmitter which is typically operating with 30 to 300 megahertz range, and then the receivers are located geographically spread across eastern part of the United Kingdom. So almost from southwest England to the northern part of the Scotland. It is completely deployed that, and then British people, the Germans had to postpone that their attack on this one. This is a closer look at that one. IEEE later revealed how much the one transmit antenna and then the receive antenna structures and all that. So you can go and then see the chain home radar. This is a famous chain home radar. This was the first demonstration of a radar in a warfield. And then until this point, they were working with high frequency and very high frequency wavelength. But the British disclosure of critical magnetron power tube changed the research and development efforts at microwave frequencies. Together with the establishment of radiation laboratory at Massachusetts Institute of Technology, ever since radars are deployed at microwave frequencies. So radar works in the spherical coordinate system. Generally, this is a azimuth angle. The azimuth angle is measured with respect to true north in general, but here the antenna both side direction with respect to that, the image that it is coming in it's a radial direction, the range is at this place, and then we are trying to draw a line, and then the angle with that image line, the angle it is making is the azimuth angle, and the elevation angle is from this line joining to this radial line is the elevation angle. So anyway, you can, those who knows the antennas and other things, so I need not explain azimuth and elevation angles to you, because the beam pattern, if you know, the azimuth and elevation angles are part of it. So the range theta or theta phi are the critical measurements that a radar can give, besides velocity and the Doppler shift. So let us try to go into that also. But primarily the functions of modern radar is to detect the target and then track a target and then image a target. So if you are trying to image certain scene, then radar also can be deployed. So we will not be focusing on these aspects at this moment, but radar target tracking and in imaging we will be using this one. There the slant range resolution is used in detection of targets and tracking of targets, but the cross range resolution is used in imaging the targets and other things. So you can see the purpose of signal processing in radar is to improve these above figures of merit. So resolution and signal to interference noise ratio can be jointly improved by pulse compression, and other ways are also there. So radar signal processing is like similar to other signal processing, but little changes that we will deploy here. But we are not focusing on any of those things. Our main topic today is the CW radars. So what a CW radar generally does is it transmits a continuous wave pulse. It's not a pulse actually, continuous wave of a stream of, that means there is no listening period here. So in general, if you go to a normal radar system, what would happen is, let me go to the board, then you will be able to understand what I'm trying to talk about. So give me a second. So, can you see the whiteboard now, or should I need to share? Okay, share.
Yes, sir.
You can see the whiteboard now. You can see? Can you?
Yes, sir.
Or should I need to share? You can see now clearly. So normally in a pulse radar, you try to transmit pulses. You can see now this one.
Yes, sir. You can continue.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, one pulse and second pulse. Here is the one which you are trying to transmit a radio frequency signal of your desired this thing. So it has some F0. This is what you normally do, but in contrast to that, in a continuous wave radar, you try to transmit the frequency F0 like this, and then you are trying to. So here in this configuration, when you are trying to do, you have a monostatic radar. So if the target is over here, and you are trying to radiate these kind of pulses, and then in the monostatic radar, you have a transmitter. You have a transmitter, and you also have a receiver. These are very well-known concepts to you. I'm not. I'm just bringing it to your notice just now, just to the sake of it is connected to this one. So during this on period, the pulse duration period, you connect this to a transmitter, and then this listening period you connect to the receiver. So usually, if I go with a 10 microsecond PRI, in that, if I assume 10% duty cycle, 1 microsecond is my pulse duration. In that 1 microsecond pulse duration, I can try to come up with some sort of so if I have some 1 microsecond pulse duration, 1 microsecond pulse duration, the C tau by 2 is my resolution. C tau by 2 is my resolution. That is known as delta R. That resolution is known as slant range resolution. Slant range resolution. That happens to be 3 into 10 power 8 into 1 micro by 2. It's coming as 300 meters. So 300 by 2, 150 meters. That means, so this is a very important thing that you need to know before I go to my sensor. That means if I have a radial line, the line of sight line, and I have one target here, and in the slant line, if there is another target, another aircraft in the same line, and if they are separated by at least 150 meters, then I can be able to say that they are resolvable. Resolvable as, because that resolution is coming in here, because I am transmitting that pulse, and if it is not resolvable, the two targets will go like this. So if they are not resolvable, let me go with another this thing. If they are not resolvable, they will be like this. If they are just resolvable, another slide, this thing I try to draw. They are resolvable, they will come like this. So this is target 1 and this is target 2, because radar cannot try to see whether they are resolvable or not by simply if pulses are overlapped, and then you will only see there is one target. So this range resolution is a very important parameter. So resolution improves if you go with higher frequencies. We will talk about that one in a while. Higher the frequencies, the transmitted frequencies, the higher the resolution, the larger the resolution. Improved, that means higher resolution means that improved resolution. It's not a high one. Improved resolution you can get. Anyway, so let us, with this one, let me go to the very important aspect of radar today. That is what is known as, since the screen is already shared, so I can try to go. So this is a CW radar is not having such a listening period. So it is continuously transmitting. Therefore, you must have some other receiving antenna to receive the signal. So therefore, it is a co-located bistatic configuration we will use. And generally, this is how a radar is there and continuously transmitting this pulse, and then transmitted frequency is ft with a wavelength lambda, and received frequency is ft plus fdp here. The fdp is positive because the target is approaching towards you. So we will talk about this Doppler shift in a while. But before that, if it is moving with the velocity and then the Doppler shift are related by fdp is equal to 2v by lambda. So if they are in the radial direction, if exactly the velocity is not making any angle with velocity vector of this target is not making any angle with the antenna bore side, then you call that as a 2v by lambda. If it is making with the angle theta, the v cos theta component would come into picture, then 2v by lambda into cos theta term will come into picture. So we'll just try to understand this Doppler shift in a while. Quickly, I won't take more time. So let me present that Doppler shift slide to you. So, because these are all important factors to be known before we go to our topic of discussion today. I will take another 10-15 minutes in this one and then go to the sensors. The radar sensors. So advances in sensor technology, it is matching to that one. So now you can see here is a diagram. I am transmitting a waveform. So it is applicable for both continuous as well as pulsar radar. So I am transmitting a waveform with peak K and peak B. And the difference between peak K and peak B is capital T. That is the time duration. When I transmit, when the peak K leaves the transmitter, the target is at R0. The target, the ship is moving away from the radar. The target is at R0. When I try to, when this peak K reaches this particular target, the ship, by the time, by the amount of time that, how much the time that it would take to reach the PK to the target, in that much time, this target is moving with a velocity v meters per second. It would have traveled a distance, an additional distance, besides this R0 original position, v into delta t meters. So R0 plus v into delta t is the new position where this target is located by the time PK reached this particular target. So with that small introduction, let us go now. The PK departs the radar when time t is equal to t0 and when the target is at R0, and by the time it reaches the target, it travels a distance of v into delta t. So within that time, the wave which is traveling with a speed of light, Cp into electromagnetic wave, Cp into delta t is equal to R0 plus v into delta t. So this is the equation that you can see here, the Cp into delta t, by the time that that distance is equal to that one. So with this one simple rearrangement, you can write delta t is equal to R0 by Cp minus v. These are equation 1 and 2 respectively. Now, the moment t is equal to t1, at which pk returns to the radar, is given by t1 is equal to t0 plus 2 into delta t. So that means why 2 into delta t? T0 is the time instant at which time stamp or time instant at which pk left the radar. So 2 times the delta t is two-way travel time. By the time it reaches the radar receiver, t0 plus 2 into delta t. So t0 plus 2 times delta t is R0 by Cp minus v, that is given here. And then similar kind of expressions may be obtained for second peak B, which left the radar capital T seconds after the pk. Which left the radar of capital T seconds after the pk. That means you can see here the pk and peak B are the time period is the difference between them. So, and then you can try to see why they are coming like this. So T2 is the time instant at which it received. So T2 is equal to T0 plus capital T plus 2R1 by Cp minus V. Here R0 is known to you, but R1 is the distance, R1 is the target location. So let us try to talk about what is R1. So R1 is target location when peak B leaves the radar at t is equal to T0 plus capital T. So T0 plus 2 into delta T is equal to R0 by Cp minus V. Here R0 is known to you, but R1 is the distance, R1 is the target location. So R1 is the target location when peak B leaves the radar at t is equal to T0 plus capital T. So R1 is the target location when Tb leaves the radar at T is equal to T naught plus capital T. That is R1 is equal to R naught plus V into T. So that V into T is the additional distance traveled by this one. R1 and R naught can be related with by this expression. The time period of the received echo TR is equal to the difference between arrival times of the two peaks. So if you know T1 and T2, then the time period of the received echo is T2 minus T1. So that you can try to calculate, and then once you calculate that one, anyway I will be providing this slide, so no need to worry about this derivation. I am bringing small derivation because without it I cannot tell you. It can simply does Doppler. So T into Cp plus V by Cp minus V is here. Now T1 is T naught plus 2 into delta T, T2 is T naught plus capital T into 2R1 by Cp minus V. So with this one TR is calculated and TR by T is calculated. It's all simple, very simple derivation, Cp plus V by Cp minus V. So if I write inverse of these two values, then Fr by F naught would come, and then the denominator fellow would come to numerator. Numerator fellow would come to denominator. So I will get like this, and then so I can express this one by using the Taylor series expansion, that the binomial expansion 1 minus V by Cp plus V by Cp whole square minus and dot dot dot. And now subsequently I try to place this one and the denominator fellow by using this equation 10. Then Fr is given like this, and then by ignoring the higher order terms, because the velocity of the ship is much lesser than the velocity of light, so I can approximate it to the only the linear term, and the higher order square terms are neglected, and approximately F naught into 1 minus 2V by Cp. So what is the message here? F naught minus 2V by Cp by F naught. So Cp by F naught is lambda. So F naught minus 2V by lambda. So that F naught minus 2V by lambda, I am calling it as Fd. So Fd is now Fd, the difference between the received frequency and the transmitted frequency. If at all there is a frequency difference between them, then that must be the Doppler shift Fd. So that is arised due to the motion of the target. So in this case, that is negative in sign, minus 2V by lambda, because your target is moving away from the radar. Your target is moving away from the radar here. This target is moving away from the radar. So why it is negative? So you just think about an ambulance which is stationary, making some kind of acoustic noise sound, vibrations, and then you are listening, and then you are not moving, and then ambulance is coming towards you. Then you hear that particular sound much more often than when it is stationary, and you hear that sound less often than when it is moving away from you, away from that particular stationary point, and which is going far away. Then you hear that particular thing. That is far away means that frequency is diminishing. So therefore you are listening to such kind of things, and then that is negative, and then Fd is minus 2V by lambda. We also call that as range rate. Fd is approximately equals to minus 2R dot by lambda. So here I'll try to bring in scenarios to you. The following figure depicts various target orientations with respect to radar. So if radar is here, and then if it is vertically going, then the cos theta angle is 90. The velocity cos theta, cos 90 is 0. So you don't see any velocity in this direction due to the velocity vector of this. So therefore Doppler shift is 0. In this case, 2V by lambda maximum plus 2V by lambda. In this case, plus 2V by lambda into cos theta. V cos theta term will come into picture. So in azimuth and elevation, if theta E and theta A are there, theta E is elevation, theta A is azimuth, then you get the 2V by lambda into cos theta E, cos theta A you get. This is a very important diagram. I'll just mention about this one. So attenuation in dB per kilometer versus the frequency in gigahertz. So 10 gigahertz onwards it is started. So lesser than 10 gigahertz also you can see in another diagrams, because we typically wanted to understand why 10 gigahertz the X band is used for airborne radar, and then our radar sensors typically are working 24 gigahertz radars are there. So they will be here, they will be available over here, and then 77 gigahertz radar are also there now. The radar sensors that came into civilian market, automotive applications, and then other applications are working at 24 gigahertz and then 77 gigahertz. You can see 24 gigahertz is also attenuation is low when compared with all other frequencies. And 77 gigahertz, there is a dip here, there is a valley interaction with oxygen and water molecules in the atmosphere is making some resonance, and then the dips also there, the peaks and dips both are there. So therefore, this is at sea level, this is at 9150, 30,000 meters altitude, 30,000 feet altitude. Typically the aircrafts, and then they are trying to move. That is the thing over there. Anyway, so this is the diagram that I wish to present it. Now I hope Doppler shift is very clearer to you. So let us not bother about any of these things. But before I go to further slides, I would like to show some very interesting thing known as linear frequency modulated signal. That linear frequency modulated signal we'll just talk in a while. But before that, people may be wondering, I am taking a basic radar course rather than radar sensors. So let me go to another presentation to show it to you. This is not made by me. This is made by a company known as Infineon. They make radars. So let I have downloaded it and then trying to present it to you. Before I present it to you, let me also show a very interesting thing to you. It's a 3-minute video, so I think I hope I have 3 minutes time to share with you. So let me go to that one and then trying to bring in to YouTube now. Give me a second. All this is in clumsy. I hope I require now less often this kind of scenario. Yeah. So, give me a second. Can you see this video now? Can you able to see? Can you able to see this?
Mounting this AWR1642 email.
Can you all see?
On a car and driving on a highway.
Can you all see this video? Hello, Krishnaveni?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Just quickly see. Yeah.
Very low audio, sir. Not able to hear the sound.
Audio is very low. Okay. Now, there is, it's only a small music, there is nothing else. Only you need to watch the video and then how sensor is trying to do it. Visibility is there. It's only 3 minutes just for that, because there are many such videos you can watch later. This is deployed on the road actually. So he is illustrating everything here. That means multiple targets are being detected, closely spaced multiple targets are being detected, and then trying to form a track also. So the next segment shows how high resolution can aid. The 4 centimeters is the resolution that it is going to get here. We'll talk about that 4 centimeters in a while. The 80-meter detections are all illustrated there. A car is tracked for an extended period. Tracking filter ignores road clutter. So all okay. So we are almost there in another 30 seconds. So maximum velocity at which it can detect is 90 kilometers per hour. (120 meters is the longest range that it can detect. Objects tracked to 150 meters.
For more information, please check the website.
So anyway, so I don't want to show any other video. So just I shown because I am not ambassador to TI here. I just shown that and to illustrate the significance of this thing. So now can you see this Infineon slides now? Hello, I need response. Otherwise I may be keep on asking. Is that fine? Can you all see this now? Hello? Am I lost or you are all there?
Yes, sir, we can see.
Hello?
Sir, we are here, sir. Continue.
Yes.
Yeah, you can able to see this, no? Because I am changing, that's why I asked.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you. So industrial radar sensing. Let us try to, what is this? An ever increasing, you can, it's really downloadable and I'll also share with this one. Don't bother about the slide. An ever increasing number of sensors assist, enable, keep us safe every day. Radar is a smart sensor. So radar so far, you know, chain home radar onwards, we never imagined a radar is only to safeguard a threat against China or threat against Pakistan for India or any other entity. But radar is now everywhere. You can see that radar is a smart sensor with advanced sensing capabilities enabling new use. And in addition, radar brings new smarter functionality to legacy the basic sensors. So here again they try to do that one, but I will focus more on that. So radar is at home, radar is for speed detection in the highways and then issue a ticket, and radar is in this place, the industrial these things, and then at home and then gardens, lightning everywhere. We'll try to see, it's all, you know, I need not tell radio detection and ranging. This is somebody who doesn't know anything about it. So the multiple applications are going like this: smart home, automatic opening system, home and building automation, medical, multicopter, the home and garden, industrial automation, collaborative robotics, smart factory, lighting. All these are applications. Why lighting is, I'll try to come to that point, because a lot of energy saving can be done by using a radar sensor if you try to detect a person rather than infrared sensor. So that is demonstrated, and then they are all available. So as I mentioned, now you are very much, the ranging principle is that CT by 2, that you know the two-way travel time that would take, and then the 2R is the distance that you travel from the target to the radar, and then that is equal to the time taken for the two-way travel time times the velocity of light CT. Then you can try to find out the ranging CT by 2. The moment you can try to find out the distance or range. The velocity and speed also can be measured. The velocity is 2v by lambda, FD is equal to 2v by lambda if you have a wavelength, if you have some kind of wave transmitted frequency, and if there is a Doppler, then the Doppler can be, the Doppler need not be at very high velocities. Doppler at micro Dopplers also can be now are available, and then presence of a person, that is vital sign, is breathing, and then his heart rate is also being monitored these days by using these sensors. The angle of arrival, that is what another important thing. Azimuth and elevation angles also can be, typically the azimuth angle. In short, if you want to, if you fix the elevation angle, then azimuth angle of arrival also can be able to find out by using this one. Speed sensors, position sensor, angular sensor. So these three are very, very important in any sensing technology. So radio frequency energy is transmitted and reflected as an echo from the object. This is what a typical radar does, but now it is going into a chip like this, a very small chip, and then typically the cost is 11,500 rupees. If you want to build a radar for a defense application, it goes into crores. And then see the radar of 10,500 rupees, Indian rupees. It is available in India also. You can also buy and then experiment in your laboratory. Transmitter and the receiver, and then they come up with some kind of patch antennas, then the GUI. So here is a signal processing chip, and then the graphical user interface is to control that. So now radar operating mode, the Doppler, there are three in this version. But typically the TA sensor that I shown you is with FMCW radar. So typically if you want everything, the presence, distance, velocity and movement, everything you want, means you need to go for a linear frequency modulated continuous wave radar that I'll talk about in a while. So here frequency shift keying, if you go with instead of simply going with continuous wave radar without modulation, if you go with FSK, then you will get the movement, velocity and the moving target only. The distance of moving target can be found with this one. But here stationary target distance also can be found. I'll show you how they are trying to find out. So these are the frequency bands. You can see 24 gigahertz. The reason I told you the 24 gigahertz is 1.25 centimeters is the 12.5 mm is the wavelength, and then the 24 gigahertz is the frequency that you are trying to operate here. There is another frequency which people use, 77 to 81 range, 77 gigahertz. The TA sensor that I shown you is 77 gigahertz. The physical antenna size, the range distance required for application. So you can, all radars operates in specific frequency band ranging from 300 megahertz to 300 gigahertz, but we don't go into the highest diverse applications, we don't go. But automotive, the current sensors, the civilian application sensor, the automotive sensor and other sensors are typically trying to work in this range. So interference from other RF wavelength and ability to penetrate through walls is also another important thing. I'll show you that one. So here you can see the radar detection modes. So simple presence detection is possible, and presence detection, advanced is obstacle detection, vital sensing, and all these are possible. The Doppler is motion, speed, direction. Doppler, FMCW and FSK, motion, speed, direction, distance. So you can see user cases, door opener, security, lightning, traffic control, vital sensing. Vital sensing is breath and heart rate. Traffic control, lightning, security, door opener, street lightning, the security alarm, smart home, HVAC, vital sensing. So all these are UAV, copter, robotics, people counting, vital sensing. People counting also, they are now using the radar sensor now. The resolution is so low that improved resolution, then you can do smart applications, door opening, security, lightning, traffic, street lighting, multi-copter, and all these applications, vital sensing, the other robotics applications, the other things are there. What are the radar benefits? So that is what is a very interesting thing that we need to know. A 24 gigahertz sensor or a 77 gigahertz sensor, when compared with infrared, so application flexibility is high here. That is best available here compared with infrared, ultrasonic, and laser. So resistance to moisture, dirt, and temperature is also the best one. So that is why radar is known as electronica. It can see through this famous Skolnick sentence: haze, rain, fog, and all kind of weather conditions. It can be. It is an almost all other alike kind of thing. You can depend on radar for any such kind of thing. That is why the radar imaging is more popular than any other kind of imaging in the atmospheric, by using space-based radar, by using airborne radar, and all other applications. The radar can see through any kind of weather conditions. Speed detection is another one. Here also, this one is best. Laser is of course also there, and accuracy, sensitivity also, this is the best. Resolution is also best. Detection capability is also best. Distance measurement best. Penetration of materials, this is the best one. Size of solution, this is also best. Size of solution now compact, because so you can see cost is also, it is coming into, it's not best, it is moderate. So it's a cost wise, it is not that attractive as that of ultrasonic and infrared. But what comes over here is the sensor is a very versatile in all other kind of situations. So therefore, radar sensors are increasingly being deployed. So you can 24 gigahertz, 5.8 gigahertz, and then the passive infrared sensor, ultrasonic and laser comparison is given here. Speed, direction, and distance information. 24 gigahertz is again best. Resistance to moisture, this is the best. Sensitivity, this is the best. Suitability for indoor application, this is the best. Size of solution, this is the best. Penetration of material, this is the best. This is also best, but this is one. Except the cost of solution, that is moderately high compared with the few other passive infrared and ultrasonic solutions. But however, application requirements, suitable range coverage for a given area, you can detection range of 270 meters square compared to 30 meters square for infrared. That is the advantage. And lights to remain in indoor lighting application, I am comparing. Lights to remain on without need for human to move and wake PIR sensors. PIR sensor, you need to wake human to move, but this is not required for potential to detect presence, not just motion, with the right software solution. So discrete sign aesthetics to fit with surroundings. Replace unsightly PIR box with hidden radar sensor. So energy efficient, minimizing wasted electricity. Light dimmed down, automatically saving electricity. So radar benefits are enormously high there. So these are the chips that are coming into this one. These are the radar sensors of this application. So typically there are three varieties that are available for Infineon. Three varieties are available with this BGT24, MTR12, and the MTR11, MR2, and then these are popularly named as, you can see here power consumption and all comparison was given here, but sense to go L, distance to go L, these are the kind of models that sense to go L, distance to go L, position to go L. So you can see basic motion detection, motion, speed, direction. Intermediate, this version is motion, speed, direction, distance, motion, speed, direction, distance, angle. This is costing around 20,000 Indian rupees. Available again in Moser, such kind of BGQ and other things. And the TA sensor, the other one which I shown you, is costing around 26,000 plus shipping. So this is the site that the presentation that I wish to show it to you, to give you some 80 years after that chain home radar, whenever they designed that one. So now let us go to my other presentation and then show you a very interesting thing here. That is, so typically a continuous wave radar or FMCW continuous wave radar goes like this: a transmit antenna, a transmitter with a up converter, and goes there, and then the you can give that information to local oscillator, takes that local oscillator is there and providing this information to both transmit and receive, and then whenever the transmit signal is there, the transmit signal information goes to this receiver IF section also. So the transmit antenna and the receive antenna are separate over here, and FMCW also in the similar case. See here, a very interesting thing you can see here is a linearly increasing frequency. We are starting with some frequency. Example, I'll tell you, 77 gigahertz. If I start, I'm going with 81 gigahertz. The 77 to 81 gigahertz, the 4 gigahertz is the bandwidth. So I am increasing this frequency starting from 77 gigahertz to 81 gigahertz. Once I transmit this waveform, I will receive a delayed waveform after some time, because so target is there, target echo is coming after a delay of t, and then that is also having same amount of slope. And you can see this delay t, if you can find the range. So that delay t can be found by using this is an x-axis and this is a y-axis. This slope is constant across this whenever you try to go from this 77 to 81, the slope is constant. So that slope is constant is used here. Delta F is equal to KT dy by dx. Dy by dx is taken, and then the KT, and then T is calculated by using 1 by K into delta F, 1 by K into delta. That frequency difference that you can try to find out. And then if you know the T, then you can calculate R from the CT by 2. That is a simple ranging two-way travel distance, and then the two-way travel time, and then the velocity of light. So the range is the additional factor. Doppler can be found whenever there is a Doppler shift from the principle that I already explained it to you. So here is a CW radar just for a collision avoidance for in a helicopter. They are using this CW radar over here. Here is a very interesting application. This also I'll try to show it to you now. Website is there. Wallabot. This is typically what is there in the hidden through your wall. That means through the wall imaging radar. It also does the vital sign and other kind of things. But mainly, when I presented paper in 2017 in Seattle, available as a product just now launched in 2017. In 3 years later, you can see how they penetrated across the continents and the global market, how they reached. You can just see with the help of a simple Amazon search or the Wallabot. If I put like this, you can see this is the Wallabot Diplus, and this is available across continents now. What they do is you can try to, if it will sense through the wall and then without distracting, you can know where the pipe is there if you want to do some kind of this thing, and then you can see buy Wallabot Amazon low price. It's a Canadian this thing, but India also it is available. Around 7,000 rupees is the price for that one. So now if I want to show it to you another application for Wallabot. You see Western countries, what happens now? The major problem is this elderly people living alone. So when they live, elderly people living alone, the major problem is that they may fall, and they don't want to be watched through by the cameras. because of privacy issues and other kind of things. They really do not want. So radar sensor based this thing can try to do such kind of detection very easily. Similarly, Wallabot also came up with some sort of applications for fall detection. In the presentation, I have just given the So this is how, this is the product that they are trying to come up with. This is the, you can see here. So 4-inch LED touch display, ultra wideband 4T radar imaging chip, 21 wideband embedded antennas. 21 antennas are there. It's a MIMO radar actually. And then machine learning based fall tracking systems. The two-way speaker is also available, and then immediately what they do is they immediately alert the paramedics whenever an elderly person falls. So it is so quick that it can be deployed in the home wherever you wish to deploy. So again, Wallabot has come up with two products. This is the most important product for the fall detection, and then a lot of research has gone into this domain in the recent years, and especially these kind of sophisticated MIMO radar products are available these days. You can also see such kind of thing. Now I'll also show you another interesting thing to you. There is a Vioneer is a company based in Bangalore. Vioneer is a company based in Bangalore. They try to do automotive radars, and then one such radar they designed was like this. Can you see this now? It's less than 2 minutes video.
Hi, my name is Alexa. This year we partnered with the Minnesotans and introduced the University Project number 2, V674. This is a 62 to 69 GHz high imaging sensor that gives the university a platform to build their own application using radar imaging. Over here, you can see an example of the people tracking. I can stand right here, and that's it. Here, you won't see in the picture that that's our cameraman. And this is only one example of the many applications that you can build using our configuration kit. It has 40 antennas, 20 tip, and 20 transmit. It's connected to the PC via USB cable, and the students have the opportunity to build their own application, whether it's posture detection, heartbeat detection, or just people counting and starting. This is 74 is now available for purchase on the Minnesota's website. Just go to the university project and look for V674. University gets special discount. So right now it's only $24.95. So go online and get it and enjoy it.
Anyway, I have gone and then trying to show. So far we are around 1 hour. Just now we are about to finish the 1 hour, and then there is one more half an hour is there for me. So if there are any questions, I am happy to take from anybody. So before I move on to another interesting application, so if there are any questions from the participants, I would be happy to take, and then let us do some questions from the participants. So any questions from anybody? Krishnaveni? Madam? Hello?
Sir,
Any questions from anybody?
participants, please raise your queries.
So at least few questions you can ask now. So what is the... Anyway. Okay. So let me continue with the presentation. Before I do that, I'll also try to show it to you a very interesting white paper on this millimetric wave radar sensors, especially the TI based sensors are there. So you can try to see, this is freely downloadable anyway. I'll try to give it to you, that one also. So the fundamentals of, it's a small 8 page only, excluding the top, the title page and other pages. It is only very little that you need to understand from it. So you can see that 76 to 81 gigahertz, the 5 actually, 77 also you can try to start. Here, this is the basic diagram that you try to linear frequency modulated waveform is being transmitted by using a transmitter. It's a kind of waveform generator and the transmitter, transmitting antenna. 1, 2, 3, 4 are here. 3 is the receiving antenna, 2 is the transmitting antenna, 4, 1 is the mixer, and the IF level it goes. So this is how it is being transmitted and received. And then frequency, you can see the linearly increasing frequency can be seen here. If you start with 77 and go up to 8, that 4 gigahertz frequency, the frequency is linearly increasing by using this diagram. The time period is diminishing linearly. So, and then the frequency is increasing. You can see that 77 gigahertz to 81 gigahertz here it went, and then you can see this bandwidth is 4 gigahertz. In general, what happened in our terminology is that if you try to, for a modulated radar waveform, the resolution is, for a modulated radar waveform, the resolution is, the resolution is equal to C by 2B, where B is the bandwidth. For an unmodulated case, it is C by 2, C tau by 2, 3 into 10 power 8. You can see 4 gigahertz is 80 into 10 power 8. 80 into 10 power 8. You can see this. The delta R is equal to C by 2B. That means how much it is? 3 by 80 meters. 3 by 80 meters if you try to do 0.0375, isn't it? Something like that it will come, and then you can see that almost 4 centimeter resolution that you can get by using this one. So when there are multiple targets in the slant range T1, T2, they are separated by 4 centimeters. You can try to detect means. That is an extremely useful entity. This radar sensor, whatever is there here, transmit antennas and receive antennas are there. Here also a kind of MIMO structure is being used. Multiple input, multiple output antenna, multiple input, multiple output antenna structures are being deployed. So you might be very familiar. These are deployed very frequently in the case of cellular mobile communications, but very popular in radar also, this multiple input, multiple output scenario. I'll just go back to that presentation and then show you the significance of it. I explained the TC is 40 microsecond period that you are trying to increase this one, and then you get this 4 gigahertz, the 4 gigahertz associated resolution that just now you have seen. So in this diagram, you transmit a waveform. The transmitted waveform is x1 is sine omega 1t plus phi 1, and received waveform is sine omega 2t plus phi 2. And in the mixer x out, what you get is this sine a minus b plus this kind of format. You get sine omega 1 minus omega 2 into t plus omega 1 plus omega minus 2. The other one you low pass filter it, and then you get only this one. So the operation of frequency mixer also can be seen here, because the 2D by C is the formula that you are trying to bring in. So the chip operations are very clearly, because I have shown one picture in my presentation, but in this white paper it is written by the best people in this world, best people in this domain especially. So they try to illustrate the concept in a simplistic manner. This is the tau that you are trying to get, and then the slope that I shown, this kind of this thing. So it is constant, therefore you can try to get the distance. But here what I would wish to show is there is another very interesting fellow known as this phi naught is 4 pi d by lambda. That phi naught is 4 pi d by lambda is coming in from this phi naught is equal to 2 pi fc tau. Phi naught is 2 pi fc tau. The 2 pi fc tau is replaced by 2d by c. Tau is replaced by 2d by c. So that fc is taken out, taken to the denominator in this fellow. Then c by fc is lambda. So 4 pi d by lambda is coming into picture. So this is a very important formula. The phi naught, the phase shift is equal to 4 pi d by lambda. So the d is here the range only. The r is same as d. So 4 pi r by lambda, 4 pi d by lambda. So if you have some kind of range displacement, associated phase changes are happening. So path difference is introducing a phase difference. So that path difference introduced phase difference is coming over here. And then you have a transmit chip, and then these are illustrated in a very simplistic manner. But I try to bring in, you can read this, I'll be providing it to you. I'm not going to explain everything to you. But here, a very important range resolution, just now I mentioned the 4 centimeter range resolution, that 3.75 centimeters, 4 gigahertz chip is a 4 centimeter range resolution. Range resolution is an extremely important fellow here. Besides that, the velocity measurement is done based on this, the Doppler shift is there, then the Doppler shift will give you that velocity measurement. But the phase difference is derived from equation 6. This is the phase difference equation, equation 6. Phi naught is 4 pi d by lambda. The phase difference equation, I again try to bring in here. The delta phi is equal to 4 pi by lambda. The d is that v into tc here. 4 pi d by lambda is replaced by v into tc. So v is replaced by, v is given by lambda 4 pi, lambda delta phi by 4 pi tc. So you can have that kind of relationship also. Then the Vmax is also calculated based on that. Velocity measurements is basically trying to find out from the Doppler shift actually. So here he is trying to give you some other things. Most important thing that I wish to mention to you. So this velocity information you can easily understand from the Doppler Doppler shift that I already covered to you. The angle detection is a very important thing. Angle estimation in radar sensors, the sensors that I am trying to bring in. Because whenever there are multiple targets, you also need to know which azimuth angle they are located. And also you need to know at what angle it is coming in towards you, the angle of arrival in an azimuth plane. So that is found basically by using this formula. You can see this is a transmit antenna, 2 receive antennas. And receive antennas are, the spatial diversity is present here, because this is with respect to the first receive antenna, the d distance, the second receive antenna is d plus delta d distance. So the delta d spacing between these two antennas will introduce some kind of phase difference due to this path difference. That phase difference is 2 pi delta t by lambda. that 2 pi delta d by lambda. Based on that, you can try to find out. So if I try to use that, and under the assumption of a planar wavefront basic geometry from this one, delta d is equal to L sin theta. So I can try to find out, if I make a triangle here, this is the L is the difference between spacing between these two receive antennas, then I can try to angle of arrival, the theta is, sin theta is the opposite side by this hypotenuse, that is delta d. So I can try to find out delta d is equal to L sin theta. Sin theta is delta d by L actually. Sin theta, yeah, sin L sin delta d is L sin theta has come. Geometry shows that delta d is equal to L sin theta. Okay. For me, this is the L difference. And opposite side, if you want to find out, yeah, you can try to find out that the opposite side is the delta d by L. Sin theta is delta d by L. The hypotenuse is coming this side then in that case. So then you can try to find out that theta is sin inverse of delta phi into lambda by 2 pi L. So this theta can be find out from this value. So this I would like to specifically show it to you because of this path difference, the phase difference arise, and once you know that phase difference and the delta d related thing, then the theta can be find out from this equation. So delta d and delta phi are related by this one. So delta d can be replaced by lambda delta phi by 2 pi. That lambda delta phi by 2 pi and divided by L is giving you the theta value. So here what he is trying to make is, so since theta is arrived in the equation 16, you can try to see you are trying to maximum measure from 0 to plus or minus 90. So that angle that you can, azimuth angle that you can measure is 0 to plus or minus 90. And since this is related to like this, the non-linear dependency, but the sin theta is approximated with a linear function only when theta is small value. So you can represent, you know, sin theta is equal to theta when theta is very small and sin 0 is 0, like that kind of thing. As a result, you can try to see the estimation accuracy depends upon angle of arrival, and then so that is the minus theta max to theta max, and they found that what is that theta max minus theta max plus theta max by using the same formula again and by following certain principles, and it comes to as plus or minus 90. So here Texas Instruments wave sensor solution is available. This is how they try to do it. Low pass filter, ADC, and FFT and signal processing they try to do here. So these are anyway, a lot of things are available. It's only some 7-page document, so one can go through, and then other textbooks also would follow this information. Basically, I would like to show it to you, a very important textbook written by an author of Japanese origin, this Junha Gamba. He has written a very nice textbook on this one, radar signal processing for autonomous driving actually. So even though it is listed as signal processing, I'll try to show you some very interesting diagrams to you. So 140, yeah. So you can see here there are, in automotive also there are SSR and long range radar and short range radar. So what these radars are deployed here? The short range radar, you can see blind spot detection. Radar detection is blind spot detection and rear cross traffic alert. Rear cross, this blind spot detection can be done by using this. You can see the 3 cars are going, and then rear radars that are mounted in the sideways can try to see and then detect that one. Typical range is 1 to 50 meters. So this is a very short range, and range accuracy is plus or minus 0.1. Range resolution is 0.75 meters. Velocity is minus 70 to plus 70 meters per second. Velocity accuracy, velocity resolution azimuth plus or minus 75 degrees, azimuth accuracy plus or minus 5 degrees, azimuth resolution 15 degrees, elevation plus or minus 6 degrees. Then the front detection also is there, front cross traffic alert is also there, cut-in warning is also there. So this is another one which the RC, rear cross traffic, that if he is trying to come here and this fellow is trying to go there, this fellow will get an alert that there is a guy going this side, or this fellow also would get an alert there is a guy that is coming this side. So you be careful and then don't try to go first, or just stop and then go, such kind of thing. Here also these are parked, and then you try to know the illustration of FCTA scenario is available here. What are the requirements of that is also illustrated here. Side detection is side impact warning, that is over here. This you try to go this side, this fellow is trying to come this side, this fellow should know that there is a guy who is coming here. That everything now we are trying to see in mirrors. So sometimes when the driver is not alert, and then if his mind goes somewhere else, and then automatically it is not happening, and then this fellow will come and then accident is happening. Therefore, in order to avoid that scenario, they are coming with short range radar and the cyclist warning. So if there is a cyclist, and then that also being detected by this radar. Then short range radar has other applications like that, and then long range radar. Long range radar is basically rear end collision warning. That is one thing. Then the other thing is front detection, that automatic cruise control. Front, somebody is there, at what speed this fellow is going, you come to know, and then based on that, the speed is being adjusted here. The speed of the backside vehicle is being adjusted by sensing the speed of this fellow. That is also making some kind of brakes, appropriate brakes. Pedestrian collision warning, that is another thing. See, there is a pedestrian, and then if you are, so at typically long range, that 150 meters, you need to see that kind of requirement. Those things are given in this one, the 10 to 250 in this long range radar application for automatic. 250 meters is the range that, and front collision warning is another thing. So these are the kind of things. And then before I conclude, I'll try to take any questions also. But before that, the trends in automotive applications, the future roadmaps, all countries are working on these automotive applications. Japan, Europe, USA, roadmaps are there. India also, it will come, like a mobile phones. First there it originated, and now India is the largest customer. And tomorrow, these autonomous sensors for radar-based autonomous driving is going to be one of the largest utilization place is going to be India. So, excuse me, the roadmap by the year end of year 2030 is listed here in all these kind of things. This textbook also, I think you can get it somewhere, and then I'll try to. I should not circulate this one. It's not open source. So anyway, all these car manufacturers, Toyota, Nissan, then the Ford, Volvo, the Mercedes-Benz, everybody is here. BMW. It's a multi-billion-dollar business these days. So that's why everybody is here. A lot of money. So these are all the future trends that are future directions, and conclusion is very little, but I'll try to read it for you, because this is going to be one of the very interesting conclusion. So as outlined in this section, the automotive industry will experience rapid growth in the next coming 20 to 30 years. Some of the advanced technologies are already on the market, although in limited driving situations, excuse me, such as highways. One of the key aspects of this growth will be to introduce sensing technology that will both save lives and enhance driving comfort. The growth will result in more complex radar signal processing application, especially for object detection, tracking, and recognition systems for autonomous driving. The ability to sense and predict the dynamics of the immediate surroundings of the vehicle will be crucial in all automated driving systems. So this is going to come in a very huge manner across the world in all countries. Euro 2020 project is there, and anyway due to Corona that has been delayed, but it is around the corner now. So Veoneer and then Continental, lot of other companies. So Infineon, I just shown you, TI, Analog Devices, everybody is in this market these days. Everybody is making sensors of this one. Volabot, I have shown you other one. So these compact compact low power single chip SoC based radar sensors are around the corner at various frequencies. Typical frequencies that I shown you: 24 gigahertz is one band, 60 gigahertz is another band, 77 to 81 gigahertz is another band. So I think I am stopping 4 minutes before the actual time. I would like to interact, because please ask me some questions, at least whatever the questions that you get. So anything about radar, anything about this autonomous driving. Does weather conditions like rain or cloud affected? Yes, one question is here. Does Prasad, okay. Does weather conditions like rain or clouds affected radar? It does not affect radar, because generally, you see, due to anyway the atmospheric losses would be present, because that would be calculated in the link budget. So if you allow me to go to the board, I'll try to bring in that weather conditions, how it is getting affected. So where is this thing board? So let me, if I go with a typical this thing, maybe you can see that question. I'll try to bring into this forum. So a typical radar range equation goes like this. So you know, this radar range equation is being taken into the received power PR is equal to PT, the peak power, GT, GR, lambda square, sigma is the radar cross section, by 4 pi whole cube, r to the power of 4, and then LS, LA of R. Only issue with rain and clouds maybe typically with rain, this LA of R would increase. So even if it increase also, you try to account for all the scenarios and then trying to bring your, because whenever you are trying to do this link budget calculation, how much PT, how much transmit gain, how much receive gain, what is your lambda that you are trying to bring in here, what is the target RCS that is there. So and all that the typical ranges that you are for automotive applications are 24 gigahertz application or the 77 gigahertz applications. I don't think any issues would arise due to this weather conditions. And then the all weather conditions it can see through. That is the another very interesting application of this one. Any other questions from anybody? So I think you can try to calculate that link budget. And sir, what is the pulse compression in brief? Okay, very good question. Thank you. So because I would love to answer that question. So let us see. Clear the frame. Pulse compression. Very good. So that LFM, whatever I talked about, is a pulse compression. See what happens now. So there is a pulse radar. It typically being invented for the pulse radar case. This is a pulse series of pulses goes. This is how you go, and then here is a pulse duration tau. And pulse duration tau is typically the 1 microsecond pulse duration tau, 1 microsecond resolution. Just now we have seen 150 meters. C tau by 2 is 150 meters. But on the other hand, whenever I try to do the partial of that pulse duration tau, it comes like this: g mod g of t square 0 to tau dt. So that happens to be, that is limited by, that is a square tau. So if it is a 1 microsecond pulse, a is 1, then I will get 1 microjoules energy. 1 microjoule energy, assume this is a radar. 1 microjoule energy can detect targets at maybe around 1000 meters. It cannot go beyond. Assume a scenario. 1 microjoule cannot go beyond. And then I have another pulse with 1 millisecond duration. The second case is, this is case 1. This is case 2. 1 millisecond. 1 millisecond, if I go with same scenario, amplitude is 1 volt, then it is 1 millijoule. 1 millijoule is a energy that it can at least go 1000 times higher distance than this one. Maybe if not 1000 times, so it can detect targets at larger range, maybe at 10 times larger ranges than this one. If it is 1 kilometer, it can detect targets at 10 kilometers. So my requirement is, then what is happening to my 1 millisecond resolution? 1 millisecond resolution C tau by 2, if I try to find out, it is becoming 150 kilometers. That means if a radar is there and in this line, if any 2 targets are there, if they are not separated by at least 150 kilometers, I will not be able to resolve them as 2 separate targets. Then what happens to my radar? My radar is a useless entity. I cannot use it. So therefore, in order to solve this, then another way to increase energy is increasing this amplitude. But you cannot increase the amplitude and you cannot generate an impulse that is 0 magnitude, and then this kind of impulse pulse 0 with high infinitely large amplitude pulse you cannot generate. So this is also ruled out. So increasing this pulse is also has magnetron and other traveling wave tubes put a limitation. So you cannot go amplitude beyond a limit. You cannot increase beyond a limit. So what people found is, let us try to take a pulse like this. Take a 1 millisecond duration pulse. Take a 1 millisecond duration pulse, and then try to modulate it either by using LFM. So I'll illustrate with LFM only. I'll try to show this LFM diagram only. Try to modulate with LFM. So instead of, that is a simple pulse, instead of simply transmitting, let me do a LFM modulation here. And then in the receiver, I try to compress that one. So then in that case, it is C by 2B. The bandwidth, the LFM of the bandwidth, if it is, for example, 1 megahertz is the bandwidth, then it is not depend upon, my resolution does not depend upon C tau by 2. Instead, it is depends upon C by 2 beta. So I will get that C by whatever was there as 1 megahertz, 1 microsecond equivalent resolution would come over here. So here I can use the 1 millijoule energy. 1 millijoule energy would come because I am using 1 millisecond duration only. But only thing is I am modulating by using LFM. That LFM has a bandwidth of B is equal to 1 megahertz. That 1 megahertz has a resolution of 150 meters. So this is how I can simultaneously accomplish both the longer detection range of the larger pulse and also the resolution of shorter pulse by modulating this. This pulse compression is coming in the receiver, that is being done using a matched filter in the receiver. So let me, because this is a very important question, let me go to the another slide and then trying to show it to you. Give me a second. I'll just open another slide to you for the sake of clarity. So that is a very interesting question, and then if that gets clarified, yeah, another question.
अरे चालेल काही हरकत, नो इश्यू. डोंट वरी. फाइन. Okay.
Somebody is speaking. Could you please unmute? Give me a second. I'll try to bring him to. Because I'll show you a visual so that it will get clarified to all of you. Yeah. You can see this diagram. Can you all see this diagram? So pulse is, a larger pulse is being compressed without modulation, coming as a triangular pulse. You know, rectangular pulse, matched filter output is a triangular pulse. Nobody is giving feedback whether they are able to see or not. I do not know. Shorter pulse.
Sir, it is visible, sir.
Yeah. Thank you. Short pulse, then the triangular pulse is coming like this. You see, this is a 1 millisecond duration. C tau 1/2 is 150 kilometers. So resolution is poor, but the longer detection ranges is being accomplished. But here a short pulse is 1 microsecond. Resolution is good, but the energy of this one cannot detect the targets at a longer detection range. Therefore, this is not useful for us. So another fellow that came in is 1 millisecond pulse only, but can detect the targets at longer range compared with this fellow, middle fellow. But the resolution is being accomplished on par with the middle fellow, that is 1 microsecond. By here the knob is beta, the resolution is beta. Here the tau 1, tau 2 are the parameters that are determining the resolution. In the case of pulse compression radar, the resolution is determined by the bandwidth of the radar rather than the pulse duration. The pulse duration is again related to this one, but with a factor that is known as pulse compression gain, that we call it as pulse compression gain or pulse compression ratio, that is beta tau beta, time bandwidth product. So typically, since I came to this slide, let me show typically an LFM is like this. So LFM frequency waveform looking like this, cos pi beta by tau t square, and the slope is like this. So this is 177 to 81 gigahertz, the beta by tau t. So beta tau is equal to 1 for an unmodulated case, beta tau is equal to large for a. So here beta tau is equal to 10, beta tau is equal to 100. The spectrum is also getting shaped because I don't want to cover this entire thing. LFM, this take another half an hour. So I hope I answered, and if you do not get clarified or if you have any queries after this also, you please come and mail me or talk to me, then I'll try to clarify to you that pulse compression thing. Any other thing, any other question from anybody? So thank you. Yeah, Vijay Kumar is one question. Then does weather conditions like rain? Yeah, only 2 questions. What about others? Hello.
Participants, you can post your queries in the chat box, or you can mail your questions to us. We'll forward that questionnaire to sir later.
Oh, okay, ma'am. Thank you. If there are no questions, so that's it from my end. And then what do you want to do? Maybe other session may be about to start, isn't it?
Yes, sir, at 12 o'clock. I request all the participants, please unmute your videos. We'll take a photograph. Sir, please, can you please stop your screen sharing?
Okay, 1 minute.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
You have enlightened the participants about the RF sensors used in radar applications. It was extremely informative, sir, and well received by all our participants. Thank you again for accepting our invitation, sir. We hope
Thank you.
to see you again in our future events, sir.
Yeah.
One
Thank you.
thing I want to share with participants, sir and myself both are colleagues in one college. It's a 10 years back. We hope to see you again in our future events, sir.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. Thank you, your administration. Thank you to you also. Thank you.